Welcome to the Football Film Room Show. I'm Nick Kehoe, and we've got another great episode for you. A Super Bowl 60 preview. A really interesting matchup between the Seahawks and Patriots. I know some people are probably upset about this matchup, but two teams that are very, very similar. Both have defensive-minded head coaches and, of course, good defenses. Both have quarterbacks capable of playing at the highest of levels. Both have very good special teams. And both teams can win ugly. They don't need to put up 30 points to win. They're comfortable playing low-scoring games if they have to. And that's one of the reasons that I haven't really bought into this narrative that's been out there since the conference championship games that the Patriots are just going to get run off the field by the Seahawks. I don't see that happening. Their defense is too good. They're too good situationally. They're too good around the margins. They don't play those types of games where they're ever out of it. Vrabel doesn't let that happen. So this is going to be a close game. And I'd be shocked if either team scored 30 points or either team blew the other one out. I think the most likely blowout scenario would be like a 20-3 game or a 20-6 game. Maybe something like 26-14 where the winner adds a touchdown late to put it away. But these are two teams that are they're going to keep it close. And it's going to come down to which team's quarterbacks can play better and more consistently. Which passing games can function at a higher level. Which pass defenses can get more stops and make more plays. Because I don't think either team is going to be able to run the ball. Both the Seahawks and Patriots have very good run defenses. The Seahawks allowed the fewest yards per carry during the regular season. The Patriots were the number 6 rushing defense in the NFL during the regular season. And in the postseason, they've been lights out. They've held opponents to just 214 yards in 3 games on 68 carries. That's 3.15 yards per carry. And both offenses, both running games, are not very dynamic. So you could see a really good running offense potentially doing something against a good rushing defense. But with the Patriots and the Seahawks, the way they've been playing, I just don't see it happening. Right? The Seahawks have been somewhat hit or miss throughout the season. And while they ranked 10th in rushing yards per game during the regular season, they were just 25th in yards per attempt. They're not very good in the yards before contact or after contact department. They got into a nice little rhythm in the last 4 games before the NFC Championship where they had 160 rushing yards in each of those games. But then last week against the Rams, they were pretty much shut down. They had just 75 yards. So I don't know if the loss of Zach Charbonnet the week earlier had an impact. But either way, if they have success running the ball against the Patriots, it will be fleeting. A good play here, a good play there. It won't be consistent. And when the Patriots have the ball, I see the same thing happening. Most of their success on the ground during the playoffs have come from Drake Maye scrambling. He's got 141 yards on the ground, which is 36% of their overall rushing yards in the postseason. And their running backs are averaging just 3.35 yards per carry. So same thing on their side. I have a tough time seeing them consistently moving the ball on the ground against the Seahawks. Both teams will try. Both teams like to so they can set up their play-action passing game and keep those pass rushers off balance. But I don't see it as a consistent form of offense necessarily. So it's going to come down to the quarterbacks. It's going to come down to those passing games. And let's just start with Drake Maye. For whatever reason, he has just not been a comfortable quarterback in the playoffs. He has not looked anything like the quarterback that we saw during the regular season that many have as the MVP. Personally, I think it should be Stafford, but that's another discussion for another day. But I think a little bit of what this comes down to is the level of competition. Many people have tried to dismiss this, but I think you have to factor this into the conversation. The Patriots did not play against one top 10 scoring defense during the regular season. So maybe their offense, maybe their passing game, maybe Drake Maye's performance was a little bit inflated. Not a lot. I'm not saying he would have been a bum during the regular season if he just played a few more tougher defenses, but it had to have played a factor. Because during the playoffs, he's played against 3 top 10 scoring defenses and some of the best pass rushers in the league, and he has not played well. And as a function of that, the Patriots' offense has not played well. They scored 16 points, 21 points, and 10 points. They are very lucky to be playing in the Super Bowl. The defense has, for the most part, carried this team. Because less than 16 points per game, that generally doesn't get you to the Super Bowl. So what's going on with Drake Maye? Is his shoulder injured? Is there another ailment? I don't really know. I can't tell you anything about that. There's nothing on film that I see that stands out. I just think he hasn't been a very comfortable quarterback. I think it starts with the pass rush. He's faced some pretty fierce pass rushes. He's been sacked 5 times in each of the 3 playoff games. And sometimes it's been from quick pressure, so it's not Maye's fault. But other times it's been from him holding on to the ball too long or with bodies around him trying to make a hero-type throw, trying to get the ball out of his hands downfield when the better option is just to eat it because there are pass rushers right around you and it's dangerous to put the ball in harm's way like that. So sometimes he's been a little too slow to get rid of the ball, and then other times he's been a little bit too reactive to pressure. Last week against the Broncos, he overreacted to pressure on one play, had a wide-open receiver in the middle of the field, didn't throw it, ended up taking a sack as a result of basically putting his eyes down and looking at the pass rush as soon as he had to move. But he didn't have a good feel for when there was pressure and when there wasn't. Against the Texans a week earlier, one of his sack fumbles happened on a play where he felt pressure coming from his left, moved aggressively to his right, and that took him into pressure. And then he tried to make a throw to a receiver that, you look at it on film, he wasn't even close to being open. Don't know why that decision was being made in the first place. You had 2 really bad decisions against the Chargers when he got sacked and fumbled, one of which he lost. But in both situations, he held the ball too long, and his bodies were closing around him. Despite the Patriots having total control of that game, he put it in harm's way by trying to get the ball out the last second. So when I see a quarterback who is struggling in the pocket, and it's not just one thing. It's not that he's too fast. It's not that he's too slow. It's sometimes he's too fast, sometimes he's too slow. That tells you he's just not feeling the pass rush in general. The best quarterbacks know, okay, I have a little bit more time here. I can hold the ball. Oh, I don't have time on this play. I need to get it out of my hands. Their level of urgency vacillates with the level of pressure around them. And Drake Maye has really struggled with that during the postseason. It's one of those things that was a concern in college, and you really haven't seen much of it up until the last 3 games. So again, I don't know what is causing that. I can just tell you what I'm seeing on film. The other aspect here, and this is probably related to his feel or lack thereof of the pass rush, but he has not been comfortable sitting in the pocket, going through his reads, making timing throws, reading the field with all the pressure around him, particularly against zone coverage. Because to win against zone coverage, you've got to identify the coverage, you work your high-low or inside-outside concept, you identify the defender that's in conflict, make sure there's no one else nearby that could undercut the throw. You've got to make throws that are over underneath defenders and under safeties. It's a little more complex against zone at times. And Maye has not been able to navigate that. He's not been able to move from his first read to his second read to his third read cleanly, comfortably. When he does, his feet aren't always moving with his eyes, and that's made him either late on throws or not ready to make throws or inaccurate on some throws. Now, where he's had success is against man coverage. And why is he having success against man coverage? Well, for the most part, in man coverage, you're not getting past your first or second read very often. You identify it's man coverage, you pick your best matchup, and then you make the right type of throw to beat the coverage. So, for instance, on a go route, if the defensive back is on top of your receiver, you throw it to his back shoulder. If he is underneath or even, if I'm even, I'm leaving, you throw it over the top. But you generally do not have time to look at each receiver and assess how good the coverage is. For the most part, you are picking your matchup and you are sticking with it. Perhaps you get to a second read, but beyond that, you're probably pulling the ball down and trying to make a play with your legs, which Drake Maye has been really good at doing during the playoffs. But going back to throwing the ball, when it's man coverage, because you can make that decision quickly, because you know, all right, I'm targeting this matchup, it's man coverage, you drop back, you hit your back foot, your feet are pointed towards the target, and you can make an accurate throw on time. You don't have to worry about the pass rush, you're getting the ball out of your hands. And that allows you to throw the ball with conviction, which always leads to better accuracy. So against man coverage, he's been able to play at a much higher level. Against zone, he's been far more uncomfortable, far more uncertain. And that's not just me telling you that. The Denver Broncos told you that in the AFC Championship game as well. The Broncos, Vance Joseph's defense, they played the second highest frequency of man coverage during the regular season. They are a man coverage team. They've got Patrick Surtain, who's the best corner in the game. And against the Patriots, they decided, we don't need to play man coverage. We're going to play zone. I don't think that was a coincidence. I think they saw the way that Maye has been playing, the way that the Patriots' offense and passing game have functioned, and they said, let's make him uncertain. Let's make him have to read out the defense. Let's make him hold on to the ball. We're not going to let him burn us. We don't think he can drive the field by hitting one intermediate pass after another. The pass rush is eventually going to get there, and we're going to be able to thwart any of their drives, even if they do start moving the ball. And that's kind of what happened. Even before the storm came, I think Maye had 41 yards at halftime, missed some throws, didn't throw others that he should have. So spinning that forward to the Super Bowl, Mike McDonald's defense is a predominant zone coverage defense. They played about 70% of the time. They did deviate from it last week a little bit more than usual. They played more man than they normally do against the Rams. They got burned a few too many times. I think that might scare them out of it a little bit. But I also think they'll look at that Broncos game. They'll see what Vance Joseph saw, and they'll say, we've got to play zone. We've got to keep the passing game in front of us, make them drive the length of the field. Don't think they'll be able to run the ball consistently. Make them score on 12-play drives. Force Drake Maye to work through his reads. And that's when the Seahawks are at their best as well. They love to play that two-high shell, two safeties deep to start every play. They don't move until after the snap. That's how they disguise for the most part. That forces the quarterback to have to process everything after the snap. Makes it harder for him to be able to know where he's going to go with the ball right away. Makes it harder for the quarterback to just be able to plant his back foot and get the ball out to exactly the place that they want to. So I think that's what you're going to see from the Seahawks. They're going to play zone. They're going to trust their pass rush. They're going to force Maye to try to read it out and make him try to fit balls into tight windows in the middle of the field. Make him get to his second, third read, and then hope that the pass rush can get there in time. And then just going back to their coverage, one of the things that impresses me so much about the Seahawks is that those second-level defenders, those safeties, they're really good at reading and reacting to route concepts. They don't just drop to a spot. They're great at identifying who they need to match up to in zone. They do a good job of peeking behind them when they need to, reading the quarterback when they need to, just getting to the space where the ball is going to go instead of covering green grass. They've been great at doing that all year. So their zone isn't easy to play against. And I think they know that, and they've seen what's gone on in the last few weeks. And so you're going to see them play more zone. Now, as I said earlier, the pass rush has definitely factored into Drake Maye's struggles. And the Seahawks do have a very good pass rush. They were 6th in pressure percentage during the regular season, 7th in sacks, and they were the only team in the NFL that had 5 players with over 40 pressures during the regular season. That rotation of DeMarcus Lawrence, Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, Uchenna Nwosu, Boye Mafe, Jaron Reed, that's a good and deep rotation so they keep guys fresh. However, the biggest difference between the Seahawks pass rush and what the Patriots have seen from the Broncos, the Texans, etc., is that the Seahawks pass rush is from the inside out. They love to use lots of stunts. They love to push the pocket from the inside. They're not quite as dynamic rushing from the edge as Nick Bonito and Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. And those Patriots tackles, they've struggled during the postseason. That's where a lot of the pressure has come for the Patriots. I don't think they will struggle quite as much because, again, the Seahawks pressure comes from inside. And this is possibly one of the advantages for the Patriots because the interior of their offensive line has been pretty solid. So they'll, of course, have to be ready for all those stunts that the Seahawks like to bring. I think they were number 3 in stunt percentage during the season. But that could be a situation where they're able to give Drake Maye time. And if they can do that, that's where you might see Drake Maye return to form from the regular season. Play the way he did against man or zone, pick defenses apart, put the ball wherever he wanted to. He is still more than capable of turning it around in the Super Bowl. And that's the thing you have to hope for if you're the Patriots. Now, the last aspect of this matchup is Drake Maye's legs. We've seen it throughout the playoffs. As I said earlier, 141 rushing yards. In the AFC Championship game against the Broncos, that was pretty much all he could do. The Broncos, their only mistake from a defensive game planning standpoint was that they didn't do anything to account for Maye's legs, as I spoke about on last week's show. Their defensive tackles in the middle, they didn't keep Maye in front of them. They didn't keep him in the pocket. And so you wonder if that'll be a point of emphasis with the Seahawks. It should be, just making sure that Drake Maye does not have any quick and easy escape lanes. If he's going to run, it has to be the long way. It has to be him making a phenomenal play, which he's capable of. And when he does, you just have to tip your cap as a defense. But you can't just give him easy escape lanes up the middle because he won't just run for 5 yards. He'll run for 20 yards. All right, let's go to the other side of the ball. Very similar. We've already talked about the run game and how this is probably going to come down to the right arm of Sam Darnold. And look, Darnold answered every question during the NFC Championship game. A lot of people said he couldn't perform in big games, and he did. But you know what? He's got to do it again in the Super Bowl. Otherwise, the same discussion is going to happen. As good as he's been over the last 2 years, he's still a bit of the wild card. There's always that old Sam Darnold in him, and you know that Mike Vrabel is going to come after him and bring those blitzes, put pressure on Darnold. Now, the Patriots' defense, they didn't necessarily rely on the blitz during the regular season. I think they were 10th in blitz percentage. They have upped that dramatically during the playoffs. They've blitzed on over 43% of dropbacks during the postseason, and they've had a ton of success doing so. Opposing quarterbacks have completed just 20 of 51 passes against the Patriots' blitz during the postseason. That's 51 pass attempts, and they've only gained 186 yards. That's 3.65 yards per attempt. 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a passer rating of 38.5. Just disgusting numbers. And they've gotten pressure on over 51% of those blitzes, which has led to 4 sacks, 2 fumbles lost, overall 5 turnovers off the blitz. Now, Sam Darnold did not play particularly well against the blitz during the regular season, had just a 79.8 passer rating. However, in the playoffs, he has been lights out. He's completed 12 of 17 passes against the blitz, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and he has a 134.2 passer rating. Now, I don't think that's enough to scare Vrabel away from blitzing him. Vrabel is definitely going to test the waters. He's not just going to sit back and let Sam Darnold be comfortable. He's going to see how he's responding, big game, Super Bowl, game of your life. We know what nerves can do to anyone. And so the Seahawks need to be ready for that pressure early. Because if there's blood in the water, if Darnold struggles against pressure early, Vrabel's going to keep it coming. And I don't think, as I said earlier, that he's going to be able to turn to his run game if things aren't working through the air. Another interesting aspect of this side of the matchup is play action. Clint Kubiak, offensive coordinator, he loves to operate from under center. The Seahawks operated from under center 56% of the time this season. That's the 3rd highest rate in the NFL. They were roughly 50-50 run-pass, and a lot of that is because that sets up their play-action passing game. Very good under-center play-action passing game, and under-center play-action is a lot more difficult to defend because the play fake, since it's coming from under center, it just takes a longer time. Those linebackers, those second-level defenders reading their keys, you're later in the play and receivers are further into their routes by the time they realize whether it's a run or pass because the play fake has already happened. And that creates more openings at the intermediate level. So that's one way that the Seahawks get a lot of offense. That's one way that they can settle down Sam Darnold. If the Patriots bring pressure, play action, they often have max protect. The pass rush is often slowed down by the run fake. And this is an area where the Seahawks have excelled all season. They were number 1 in the NFL in EPA on play-action passes. They had the 2nd largest percentage of their passing yards come from play-action passes. And in the postseason, Darnold has completed 11 of 15 play-action passes for 114 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. So the Patriots will have to be ready for that. But again, speaking to how good and close of a matchup this is, New England has been excellent against play-action. Their defense was top 10 in EPA during the season, and during the playoffs, it has been a net negative for teams to even try play action against them. They've just been silly. Opposing quarterbacks have completed just 9 of 22 passes on play action against the Patriots for 37 yards. 22 pass attempts, 37 yards. That's less than 2 yards per pass attempt on play action. That's absurd. And on top of that, they've thrown just 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, and been sacked 3 times. So again, I'm trying to scour both sides of the ball and see where there's a huge mismatch for one team, and I really don't see one. This really is an evenly matched game. An amazingly evenly matched game, I think. So it's going to come down to protecting the ball, playing well situationally, who can make a play on special teams, who can manage the clock at the end of the first half, at the end of the game. You look at the turnover battle. The Patriots have done a really good job throughout the season of protecting the ball. The Seahawks have been great at taking away the ball. However, in the playoffs, the Patriots have been pretty careless with it. Drake Maye has 5 turnovers and 6 total fumbles. On the other side of the ball, the Seahawks offense had the 2nd most turnovers in the league. However, they haven't turned the ball over during the postseason. The Patriots were not great taking the ball away during the regular season. They ranked just 19th with 19 takeaways. They've had 8 in 3 games during the playoffs. So both teams have somewhat bucked the trend in terms of takeaways and turnovers. And those are always hard to predict anyway, but that'll absolutely determine the game. Who protects the ball, who doesn't. Red zone is another area that can determine this game. The Patriots were just 17th in red zone offense during the regular season. The Seahawks defense was 5th. So maybe there's a slight advantage there where they can hold the Patriots to field goals instead of touchdowns, which will be huge when the Patriots get down there. On the other side of the ball, the Seahawks have struggled in the red zone. They were 21st in red zone offense this year. The Patriots defense, on the other hand, was 30th in red zone defense. So maybe there's an advantage there for the Seahawks in terms of red zone play on both sides of the ball, but it's not by much. The other thing you got to watch for is how each offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak and Josh McDaniels, both very good offensive coordinators, what are they going to do to create a big play? What rabbits are they going to pull out of their hat? What plays that they haven't gone to at all this year are they going to put in just for this game? What concepts are they going to do? Is Kubiak going to put his receivers in the backfield like he did last week? He should. Are we going to see some double passes from Josh McDaniels in the red zone? We might. But this is a game that no one has a distinct advantage in. I truly believe that. So who can manufacture that one big play with scheme on either side of the ball? Who can manage the clock? Whose kicking game is going to be better? It might come down to those boring things that we all get tired of talking about. But I guess it's time for me to make my prediction. I don't love predicting games. It's not really my thing. Not very good at it. Any slapdick can pick one team or another to win. But I'll go ahead and do it anyway. I'm picking the Seahawks 20-16. And just know, if I'm correct about that, you will not hear the end of it. And if I'm wrong, we will burn this podcast and never bring it up again. Either way, I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Personally, I always loved the day-night Super Bowls. Reminds me of all the old Super Bowls from the 70s and 80s when that was more of a common thing. You get them occasionally now. I sort of wish every Super Bowl could be in San Francisco or Pasadena, Arizona, and any of those places where you're going to get the first half played in daylight, the second half played at night. I don't know. Something about me loving the history of the NFL and loving the history of the Super Bowl makes me want to see that, and it makes me just more jacked up for a Super Bowl when it's that type of game instead of being played indoors in a dome, in a dark, murky dome. I think I've said everything there is to say about this matchup, but I will put more breakdowns up on footballfilmroom.com, diagramming plays, deep diving into the schemes that these two teams use. Be sure to check it out. I'm also running a discount on yearly subscriptions, 50% off if you subscribe this week. Super Bowl special. But I really don't have anything else to say. The game can't come soon enough. I'll talk to you next time.